Hi everyone, welcome back on my channel. Happy Monday, and by the time you're watching this, it's actually my birthday. Anyhow, let's not get sidetracked. Let me fix my camera here because it's crooked. Today's topic is how to develop an excellent spirit. This is something that we have to develop. Number one, habits. Your daily habits will have a compound interest. According to Proverbs 9:6-9 says, forsake foolishness and live, and go in the way of understanding. Therefore, when you want to live a life that is excellent, you must forsake foolishness, impulsivity, and the things that you do out of whim, and go in the way of understanding. Understanding is the application. By acquiring your knowledge, in due time, you can apply what you have learned so that you're going to live a life habitually, consistently. It is a repeatedly thing that you do every day. Habit is an automatic reaction to a specific situation. So assess your habits and determine which habits to keep and which one to let go. Time management is important, for we are all given 24 hours in a day, and it is up to you to use the time wisely or squander it in watching TV and Netflix and binge watch things that are not necessary for your future. Time is a commodity that we cannot afford to use or lose it. Once you lose it, you can't take it back. And that is why habit is something that you must incorporate. According to James Clear, Atomic Habits, all big things come from small beginnings. The seed of every habit is a single tiny decision. Luke 12:48 says, to whom much is given, much is required, or much will be required. If you are faithful in small things, God will eventually give you bigger and greater responsibility. This is why when you want to be able to achieve your goals in life, you need to have incremental habits. For instance, consistently doing this video Mondays and Thursdays. I make sure that I would put this in my schedule, block time for creating this video. Otherwise, I am just going to be here as promised. Excellence, of course, is defined as the quality of being outstanding. Number two, how to develop the spirit of excellence is focus. Another key ingredient in developing excellence in spirit is to stay focused. Lack of focus and lack thereof usually deter us from the calling of God in our lives. Granted, there are an array of distractions that are constantly competing with our attention. I think today in our generation, we really have a slow span. We have a short span of attention. Our attention is becoming so minimal because of so many distractions. I am guilty as such. We have social media competing with our attention. We have children, of course, when we're raising our kids. We have laundry to do, errands to do, especially for women who is working full time. That's why we do need to have time management. You need to have a schedule, a daily, weekly schedule. For instance, you have to really pencil in to stay focused and get rid of any distractions. There are times that I have to get rid of my cell phone, put it in the other bedroom if I'm trying to do something at work on my computer. And sometimes I also listen and I cook. So there are things that you can do to make you multitask. For instance, if I'm cooking, I'm also listening to a podcast. But to stay focused in a task, I think that we are not made to multitask. I mean, you can put on the laundry, you leave it there, and then you can cook, but we're only allowed, I think our brain is not attuned to just doing 5 different things at one time. I think we're more focused if we do things one thing at a time, like recording this video. So, for instance, if you're too focused on the past, you are going to miss out on your future. You are dwelling in your past, you will eventually going to get paralyzed in moving forward. Refocus your gaze at something valuable other than pondering of what could have been that you could no longer take back. Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not to men. And of course, focus on what you can control. These are time. How do you manage your time? By creating a weekly or a daily schedule, as I would like to emphasize, having a calendar. I love calendar. You can print a free calendar online, wiki.com. They will provide you with calendars from January to February, and you can actually write it down. I still love the paper. I don't know, don't ask me why. There's something about writing it in a paper, or perhaps a small notebook or a journal that you can put on your to-do list. Prioritize things that are important on your list. If you cannot do the things that you want to do that day, you can delegate some tasks to other people. It's not bad to ask for help, especially when you are juggling and you are wearing different hats. You can delegate that to your kids. If you have teenagers in the house, maybe you can ask them to help around the kitchen. Fulfilling your goals, of course, is if you want to fulfill your goal, you must stay focused on your goals and to make sure to work at it until such time that you will accomplish it. And another thing that you must focus on is healing from your traumas. I will not leave that there, because unless you are goal-driven oriented, the people that are actually sometimes are wounded, they don't really want to deal with their trauma. So sometimes we get too busy, but yet we don't heal from our trauma. But that's actually counterintuitive, because no matter how successful you are and you are not healing from your trauma, you will still be able to not be able to get rid of that bitterness and resentment. The reason why we want to do things for our lives, for our future, is because we want to be able to have things for our children, to pass them along, to pass along this thing that we want to promise them, that anything is possible. But how else can you possibly continue this example if you're going to hide and pretend like you're busy because you are numbing your pain? Because some people out there are numbing their pain by constantly being busy, working hard, but they don't want to deal with their trauma. So you need to be able, for me though, I rather want to deal with my trauma, focus on my healing journey, and simultaneously work towards my goal. And number 3, practice until you have perfected or your craft and your God-given talent. Excellence then is being focused in doing one task at a time. So practice, practice, practice. Progression is the key. Consistency, keep at it until you reach the point of excellence. So it's not just doing one thing and then you forget about it. Excellence is something you do repeatedly. It's about consistency. It's about doing it over and over again. Repetition is the key. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Like telling your kids, brush your teeth. You have to take a shower. It's about repetition. This is how exactly we program our brain. Proverbs 13:19, it says, "A desire accomplished is sweet to the soul." Whenever you achieved a project or accomplished a goal, you usually feel a sense of happiness or a sense of satisfaction that ultimately you want to do it again and again. It is like a dopamine hit. Look back in retrospect, the time when you want to accomplish something and you have actually finished that task, didn't you not feel good about it? The same thing with me when I wrote my first book in 2019. It is now published through KDP. I felt good about it. I felt the sense of satisfaction because, again, according to Proverbs, a desire accomplished is sweet to the soul. Number 4, patience in the process. Patience is, of course, not a skill. It is a spirit of God that eventually going to develop over time. We develop patience under stress. We only develop patience when there are challenges that we will face. There is no such thing as an overnight success. If there is, let me know about it, but usually they do not last. Trials and testings are part of our growth. If you want to grow, do not be surprised that you will be tested and that your patience will be tested alongside of it. God is not after your comfort, but to make you mature and develop your faith muscle. Examples in the Bible that endured in their faithfulness: Joseph. Joseph was a young man that was given a dream by God that his family is going to bow down to him. But before Joseph could have that vision fulfilled or that dream fulfilled, God had to make sure to test him whether or not he's going to excel in every areas of his life. Joseph was planted in the house of Potiphar. First of all, he was betrayed by his brothers, sold into the Egyptians' hands, yet he remained faithful. He became patient, even though God promised him that his family in the future is going to bow down. But there was years of waiting because God was testing him. God was in the process of building his character in those moments. Another thing is David. David also was anointed, appointed by Samuel the prophet, but before David could become the king to replace King Saul, he also had to go through persecution. He had to run away from Saul because Saul hated him because of the songs of the ladies. It says 1,000 David Saul killed and 10,000 David killed some many armies. And because of those taunting songs, what happened to Saul, he became infuriated and he became angry towards David that he wants to kill him. So David, of course, was waiting in the process. He patiently waited in the process. God also made sure that he would not going to treat other people the way that he was treated. Romans 5:3, it says, but we also glory in tribulations, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, character, and character hope. So tribulation is also challenges, trials. We hope in tribulation because it produces perseverance. When you persevere, it builds your character. When you stay in it, in the long haul, many people do not like to be challenged. We don't like to be tested. We pray that God take this away from me, but actually God sometimes would say, you got to stay in it. You have to grow because it will make you a better person. It makes you stronger, resilient. It builds your character, and then character turns into hope. James 1:2 says, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience, but let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. So the purpose of our testing is to produce patience in us. In due time, when we are patient, it will have a perfect and complete in our lives and lacking nothing. When we develop the muscle of faith and patience and endurance, it becomes as a mature person. We become even strong in our demeanor and the way that we handle a situation that is hard. And this is why to count it with all joys in various trials, because it is for our own good. It is actually for our own well-being, and that's exactly what God wants us, is to mature up in the head. And number 5, choose your circle of influence wisely. Proverbs 13:20 says, he who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed. Another saying that goes, evil company corrupts good morals. It's so true. If you want to have an excellent spirit, look around you. Who are the people that you're hanging out with? Are they sloppy? Do they not care about their life? Or are they driven-oriented, goal-oriented? Do they have visions? Are these people have like-minded as you? Because you are becoming the 5 people in your life, according to Jim Rohn. If you're surrounded with people that are sloppy, they don't care about their future, they are slob, they just never have any life to live, you're most likely going to be like them. And so it could be the shows that you watch, the podcasts that you listen to, the books that you read. How you invest your time and energy is also important, of choosing your time wisely in the circle of your influence, people that are good for you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. If the people around you is creating more problem, creating more chronic stress, if they're not helping you, perhaps you have to minimize or put boundaries around these people, because if these people are not helping you, supporting you, and making you better mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, they are not good for you. And this is why you have to be discerning and knowing the kind of people that you should allow in your space. According to Paul Meyer, he said, productivity is never an accident. It is always the result of a commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, and focused effort. So it is something that you are committed to do if you want to excel in every areas of your life. Commitment is something that you do it by excellence, intelligence, planning, and focused effort. These are 4 things that he said, and I actually underlined each one because it is actually true. When you want to be productive, you have to be committed in doing it over and over again. And then on top of that, you just don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. Your job is to have quality over quantity, to excel in every areas of your life, to be intelligent and planning ahead. If you don't plan, you're going to fail. The same thing with my videos. I have to plan ahead of what kind of content I would like to produce on my channel. I plan this ahead. I have to restructure and make sure the things that I will share to you will make sense. And of course, number 7, I think this will be my last one, is committed. Of course, without commitment, you're not going to be able to have an excellent spirit. Majority of us like to just have this idea in our head that I haven't seen the result, perhaps it's not working, so I'm just going to quit. In everything in our lives, whether it's marriages, businesses, raising children, it takes commitment. Psalm 17:5, it says, "Uphold my steps in your paths, that my footsteps may not slip." We must be in step with the Lord and ask Him to guide us in every decision we take. We can be committed, but without God's help, we somehow going to slip up. We're not going to be able to finish this race. In Galatians 6:9, it says, "Let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart." Being committed is doing things even though we have not yet seen the result. It is keeping at it and going at it day in and day out, week by week, day by day. It's something to do with your ability to stick to it even though it's hard. Of course, we want to see results right away. We want to see the outcome right away. But just like a farmer, the farmer has to plant the seed in the ground before the fruition will take place. Maybe it takes months before the harvest season. The same thing in everything in our life. We have to invest our time, invest our energy. We have to invest our effort. The same thing with raising kids, with your marriages, with your businesses. You have to put on the effort. It's not going to grow without cultivating it. Just like a plant, like an orchid, you need to cultivate it. Sometimes it needs water, sometimes it needs sunlight, sometimes it needs a fertilizer for it to thrive and to grow. Ephesians 4:14, it says that we should no longer be children, tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine, with the trickery of men and the cunning craftiness of deceitfulness plotting. And that is my last point. So if you want to be committed, you cannot just go back and forth, vacillate. Should I do this? Should I do that? You have to have a focus on what you want to do in life. Figure it out, what you want to do in life, and then you execute it. You plan how you're going to go about it, because He says that we should not be like children. What are children? They have no structure. This is why you need to tell the kids, brush your teeth, take a shower, you gotta do this. You have to discipline your kids, because we as an adult must not be like children, tossed and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine. We do not function out of whim, out of impulse. We have to have our brain. That's why God said, in all you're getting, get wisdom, get understanding, because there are so many things that are distracting us. And if you are always doing the things all over the place, you are not gonna aim at something. Especially me, I am a multi-passionate person. I had to leave some out, because if I'm gonna keep doing a lot of things in my life, I will end up with nowhere to go. So I had to stick to one thing, which is, this is the thing that I told myself, that this is what God called you to do, to use your story for His glory, and therefore I have to stick to this. Otherwise, if I'm gonna do many things in my channel, I will aim at nothing eventually. And that's exactly what this verse says, that the trickery of men and the cunning craftiness of deceitfulness plotting. And the same thing with our walk with the Lord. There are many messages out there of salvation. There are many false teachers and preachers out there. And there's so many people are telling you that the Bible is obsolete, that Jesus is actually just another prophet. And this is exactly why we have to also guard our hearts, to excel in everything in our lives. We have to put God first. That is my last point, is that when Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of God and all His righteousness, and everything shall be added unto you, commit your work unto the Lord, and He will make your way prosperous. So in short, in conclusion, the things that we do in life is that we have to commit with God and make God be a part of everything that we do. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, but cursed is the one who trusts in themselves or in other people. So these are just a few things that I can share to you of how to develop an excellent spirit. I hope that you're blessed with this message. I will see you on my next video. Toodles.